Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today, the Pope, in his ongoing speaking tour in South America, said greed is dung of the devil. And CNN was having a field day with this quote earlier. I want to show you just how coded this statement it is, or how coded the statement is, the quotation. And I want to show you everything else I have decoded about the Pope's upcoming visit. I also want to give some credit to the channel Josh Stoss. He's a student of this channel who's gone on and done his own work and taken it to the next level. Very talented person, Josh Stoss. So some of the stuff I share, it will be because Josh Stoss tipped me off to it. Anyhow, the Pope is currently giving 22 speeches in South America. September 23rd, he plans to visit the United States and will be here through the 27th. What I want to point out about his 22 speeches in South America is that there are 22 books in Revelation, the final book of the Bible. 22 books. And the United States, the original capital, Philadelphia, takes its name from one of the 7 churches in Revelation, the Church of Philadelphia. Earlier this year, there was a train crash in Philadelphia, supposedly at 9:23 p.m. local time. The Pope comes to visit on September 23rd. He's the 266th Pope. September 23rd is the 266th day of the year. So, Pope, Revelation, speaking tours, visits to the United States, it all syncs up in numerology. Going back to the beginning of the nation, before there was a capital, Philadelphia, before there was a Washington, D.C., there was a wealthy landowner named Francis Pope, the opposite of Pope Francis, and he owned a piece of land called Rome, which is now where the nation's capital sits, in Washington, D.C. Francis Pope once owned land called Rome, which is now where Washington, D.C. is located, Truth Seeker. Some people say the United States is a rebuilding of Rome. I think those people are very much correct. The date of the deed in history is also a date with 74 numerology. Why? Because this number is extremely important to Freemasons, and it is Freemasons who established this nation, giving it its 7/4 July 4th birthday. I have a video post on the 4th of July, also the word God. You should watch both of those. You'll know a lot more about this number if you take the time. So let's get to what the Pope said today, and we'll connect a lot more to it. The Pope said greed is the dung of the devil. And CNN, sure to put their marks around it so we know what gematria to extract, gives us some major clues that connect to things I've been saying all year. Also, I want you to notice that the word greed has gematria of 39, extremely important number to the Zionist Jews. Jews go by the 39 books of the Old Testament. 39 signers on the Declaration of Independence. Why? Because the nation was established by Masonic Zionists, many of them Jews. Dung of the devil in simple English gematria sums to 152, just like Pennsylvania. Earlier this year, there was a plane crash. A suicidal pilot. He crashed 39 days after Lupercalia. Andreas Lubitz. Andreas Lubitz also sums to 152 in simple English. And I said at the time of that crash, I showed all the connections I knew to that number. And I said, watch for follow-up stories in Pennsylvania in close proximity. And 2 days later, there was a small plane crash in Pennsylvania, all coded with these same numbers. The point is, we live in a web of numbers. These numbers have significance, but it goes deeper than that for dung of the devil. And remember, the Pope's coming to Pennsylvania, to Philadelphia this year. So dung of the devil in Pythagorean gematria, interrelated, 7 plus 1 for 71 equals 8. 1 plus 5 plus 2 sums to 8. These methods will always break down the same in numerology. Dung of the devil, 71. Very important number. The Pope is Catholic. Catholic has a gematria of 71. Also, when you write out 71, it sums to 144. And at the beginning of this year, at the conclusion of Super Bowl 49, 49 is the number of Revelation, I said watch for the numbers 52 and 144 this year. Why did I say that? Because the sum of the score of the game was 52. It was between two teams who came into the game 14-4, and the location they played in, Glendale, Arizona, has gematria of 144. There's also a few other details, but I know from documenting this and watching this over the years that sports scores connect to what the numbers become for the major news stories that year. So out of the Super Bowl, I said watch for 52 and 144. 71, 144, the date the Pope comes on is the date of Yom Kippur, the most important Jewish holy day. Yom Kippur has the gematria of 144. And Pope, oh, it's not up here. Shoot, where is it? Pope has the gematria of 52, Truth Seeker. So the Pope comes on the day of Yom Kippur. It's the 266th Pope, the 266th day of the year. I've read online that there's an old prophecy that the 266th Pope will be the final Pope. I've only read it online. I don't know that it's true, but perhaps it's been written all along. So within that phrase, dung of the devil, we have these same numbers coded that we've been seeing come together and play a part all year. Supposedly, Catholic News sent out this tweet today about him speaking illy of capitalism and calling greed the dung of the devil. Pope Francis asked the crowd, is the priest talking too much? What a joke. Also, True Seeker, check this out. With regards to the number 52, remember Pope equals 52? The 52nd prime number is 239. In a lot of parts of the world, they write the date September 23rd, 23/9, the day before the month. 52nd prime number even connects to this date. And back when I said this out of the Super Bowl, I did not realize how deep these connections were. It took time. I had to witness all these stories since then to put it all together. And here's another one that makes me laugh. The factors of 923 are 1, 13, 71, and 923. Do you see how well thought out all this stuff is, True Seeker? None of this is a coincidence. The 122nd Pope, Pope Francis is the 266th Pope, but his name in Gematria sums to 122. The 122nd Pope was John X, who was Pope in the year 923, a lot like the date September 23rd. John X has a gematria of 71, like Catholic that connects to this number 144. And this year Yom Kippur falls on September 23rd. Isn't it amazing, Truth Seeker? Isn't it amazing? If you can believe it, we got a lot further to go. So remember, Yom Kippur in the Jewish holy days is the Day of Atonement, Day of Repenting. Repent and atone both have very interesting gematria. Repent has that 33 gematria. The book of Genesis has the gematria of 33. In science, the equivalent of Genesis is Big Bang. Big Bang equals 33. What's interesting is in Genesis 19 is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Notice that atone sums to 19. And if you're not familiar with the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah is the story of where two angelic men are taken into a home in Gomorrah, and the town people are alerted, and they demand to come into the home where the angels are, and they want to have sex with those angels. And the keeper of the home says, no, you cannot have sex with the angels here visiting, but you can have my 2 virgin daughters. It's a very confusing story, as the Bible is for many of us. You know, by the end of the story, you're taught that homosexuality isn't okay, but pawning off your daughters is, and so is incest and impregnating your daughters. You know, all that stuff's okay in the story, but homosexuality is not. And again, this is why I think the Bible has been edited. I do not think it's the Word of God at all. I mean, I think some of it might be. Some of it really resonates with me. Don't get me wrong. But when you read stories like the Sodom and Gomorrah, you can't be left with without having your head spinning, you know? It's crazy. But True Seeker, in all seriousness, with regards to atonement, here, let me make one more connection with Sodom and Gomorrah. In the United States on June 26th, in a lot of parts of the world you write the day first, so 26/6, Obama on this day gave the funeral speech, sung Amazing Grace, decoded that, have a video on that. Also on that date, the Supreme Court ruled on homosexual marriage being legal for all 50 states, now being state sanctioned. It was 12 years earlier to the day, June 26th, that the Supreme Court ended sodomy laws in the United States. They ruled on 14 states that had sodomy laws. They said you can't have these laws anymore. Gay sex is now legal, authorized by the nation. What's curious is how they use this same date twice, 266. And the reason I think so is because this number has much significance to the occult. For these people who have rewritten the United States as a new Rome, as a retelling of the Bible, which is what it is. But anyway, all that stuff aside, we living in the United States, we really do have a lot to atone for. It doesn't matter what your spirituality is. The majority of the people in this nation have lived gluttonous lifestyles, ignorant lifestyles, disgusting lifestyles. Those of us who are sane and good people and try to do right by others, we're largely disgusted by living in this world and witnessing others. You know, I routinely put myself out there for people to help people even though I know better and I've been burned so many times. And, you know, I just continue to amaze myself by how poorly people act, how dishonest they are, how selfish they are. It's an epidemic. But because I have the perspective of where I live and what's going on in the times, I try not to get angry with people. I try to be forgiving. I try to understand. But still, it's just undeniable what has permeated our society. A terrible sickness. We are a very selfish people. We are a very uncaring people. We are a very ignorant people. We are a very entitled people. You know, we in this nation, we have such a sense of entitlement on so many things. It's awful. You know, that's not what we are supposed to be as people. I can't tell you what the purpose of life is, but there's one thing that I know is true. And I think as a people, it is paramount for us to try to make the world a better place than what it was when we came into it. Try to be more so givers than takers. We can't just take. And for whatever reason, I know that so many people do not know that because they think they can just keep taking. I think it's because they've grown up in a world of grocery stores and shopping aisles that are never depleted with groceries. There's always bags of Cheetos there. There's always gallons of milk there. There's always boxes of cereal there. It just seems never ending. It seems omnipotent. It seems unbreakable. But this is an illusion that people are falling for. So Yom Kippur is this Day of Atonement, and a lot of things are coming into place. We're being foreshadowed with assassinations, market crashes, infrastructure destruction. Two of the biggest targets out there right now seem to be the Hoover Dam and Golden Gate Bridge, which I've talked a lot about on this video blog, long before I even made all these connections. With regards to the Golden Gate Bridge, it has that connection to Pope Francis through Gematria. San Francisco is also on the 122nd meridian. With regards to the phrase Day of Atonement, what Yom Kippur is known as, it has Gematria of 59, which in Jewish Gematria is the kill number, the Day of Atonement. We're also in the year of the Shemitah, a word with 38 Gematria, just like Jew. But notice, Day of Atonement in San Francisco both sum to 59. And we were just talking about Gomorrah. In the United States, the closest thing to Gomorrah is obviously San Francisco. The next closest city is Seattle, which is also on the 122nd meridian. These are the gay capitals of the United States. And I want you to know, I'm not someone who hates gay people. You know, I really try not to judge. If that's what you want to do with your life, you know, more power to you. But at the same time, it seems like there's definitely something not physically right, especially with male on male sex. You know what I mean? Talk to doctors who have to do the work on these men at older ages. But notice San Francisco and Day of Atonement have something in common in gematria. And also, as we just said, with the rulings from the Supreme Court and the way this nation's been set up. San Francisco's been made into Gomorrah by the powers that be that run this nation. All part of the design. In the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, the main characters are Abraham and Lot, both with interesting gematria that happen to connect to President Abraham. We currently have the 44th President Obama. Josh Stoss has shown how Abraham and Saturn are connected. Very fascinating work if you want to check that out. And then Lot has the gematria of 47, another number that connects to President. If you want to come to my blog or just search the web, you can read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. But the destruction is in 19, like how I said the word atone has gematria of 19. It's in Genesis. Genesis has gematria of 33. The word gay also has simple English gematria of 33. All right, so moving on, I want to talk about the last pope to die as pope, which was Pope John Paul I. He has many connections to Pope Francis, even President Obama, which I'll get into. So he was the 33-day pope. He died on his 33rd day. I have an early video when I did it where I filmed myself and I also used my TV in the background. You can look up that video. The video I use in the background gives all sorts of awesome information about how the Catholic Church covered up his assassination, and it's very obvious. Please watch that video. But anyway, the date he died on, September 28th, 1978, has numerology of 44, the kill number. Currently, Obama's the 44th president. With this method, it sums to 115. The word killing in Jewish gematria sums to 115, so he definitely died on a fateful day by the numbers, Pope John Paul I. He was replaced October 16th, 1978, a date with 33 numerology. Har har, the 33-day pope replaced by Pope John Paul II on a date with 33 numerology. You know, Truth Seeker, this is a little weird story off the cuff. When my sister's a lot older than me. When she was younger, she traveled over to Europe and she spent a bunch of time over there studying. And she tells me while she was over there, she got to meet the Pope and the Pope kissed her hand. And I'll tell you what, not long after that, my sister became a really wicked person. And she's been pretty wicked ever since. I hate to say that, but, she just became a different person. Now she's married to a super rich dude and lives a very gluttonous lifestyle. But she says that she got to meet the Pope and he kissed her hand when she was young over there. Just makes me wonder if it really happened. Maybe that was bad news for her. All right, moving on, back on points. Pope John Paul, his name was Albino Luciani. And in gematria, that happens to sum to 122, just like the name Pope Francis, which the current Pope's going by. We showed how he has the connection to the 122nd Pope going back in history. All these connections, synchronicities. Also, the current Pope's real name, Pope Francis, his real name is Jorge Bergoglio, which has Jewish gematria of 972, just like the word 44. Josh Stoss figured that one out, but that's something else, man. That is really trippy. I think it's quite condemning for what the future holds for him. I could see him and Obama going out together to really shake some things up. Also, Truth Seeker, very interesting. The final blood moon will come the day after the Pope leaves the United States. He's scheduled to come on the 23rd and leave on the 27th. The final blood moon is for September 28th, 15. This is a date with 52 numerology. The final blood moon connects to 52. Notice the date of it, September 28th. If you write it out and sum it in Pythagorean gematria, it sums to 105, also 114 like the 114th Congress. But look at the gematria of blood moon, 105. And this year's blood moon falls on a date that even has the numerology connection. It should also be noted that Zionism equals 105. and it's Masonic Zionist Jews who are behind our language, behind our calendar, and who are helping create these synchronicities by the namings of characters who play the parts of important roles in our society, from Pope to President. If you haven't seen my video on Barack Hussein Obama and the Civil Rights Act of '64, please check that out. He is an agent. His entire name is coded out. We live in a giant joke. Also, with regards to the Pope leaving on September 27, 2015, look at the numerology of this date, 71. Remember the number that connects to Catholic, that connects to Dung of the Devil, the quote that we started with? He leaves on a date with 71 numerology. The synchronicities being executed by the dates. From the date he leaves Truth Seeker, September 27th, to February 7th, 2016, the date of Super Bowl 50, being hosted by the San Francisco 49ers, is exactly 133 days later. And it just makes me wonder, because San Francisco being the homosexual capital of the nation, homosexual sums to 133, just like the word temptation. The gay people I know tell me a lot of straight people are giving into temptation and experimenting with homosexuality. And I tend to believe it in the year 2015. 15 years ago, I would have said, no way. These days, I see signs that it seems very true. Also, True Seeker, one more point about this. From September 23rd to February 7th is a span of 137 days. 137 is the 33rd prime number. Again, the word gay has simple English gematria of 33. 7 plus 1 plus 25. Kind of like how homosexual is 133. Showing you how well thought out our language is and how important this stuff's been for all this time. And of course it has. I mean, there's a story in the Bible of people being gay and a city being destroyed by burning sulfur from the air. San Francisco also on the 122nd meridian, just like San Francisco and Pope Francis. And notice how Francis is kind of like Francisco. These were yesterday's Pope headlines. Pope denounces modern capitalism. A phrase that nets gematria of 135 and 153. Of course, in the Bible, there's the miracle catch of 153 fish. If you write out 153 and do the gematria of it, it sums to 113, the number connected to fish. Again, showing you the synchronicities between the Bible, the English language, and how news media is presented on the daily. From June 26th of this year, the date of the Supreme Court ruling, to September 23rd is a span of 89 days, or 2 months and 28 days. United States of America equals 228, and religion equals 89. And I don't think this stuff is an accident. I think it's all by design. I just did the video or breakdown on the song Bitch Better Have My Money, which has this acronym. Notice that B and B are 2 and 2, H is the 8th letter, and then M can be 13 or 4. So it's 228 and then 44 almost. And to me, I almost read that as the end of America. And if anyone thinks that's crazy, think about the United States of Soviet Russia and how it was broken up into smaller countries, now still existing. I could see the same type of thing happening in the United States. It's hard for me to imagine it happening as soon as this year, but I could see in our lifetime this process being started and worked out, and before you know it, we live in a bunch of smaller nations, which actually seems like a nice thing. However, the people who are taking us there are not nice people, so their plans must be exposed. Also, if you've seen my video on this song, I broke down all the coding and I showed how it connects to the September 23rd date as well. Also, bitch better have my money, when written out as words in sums to 105, that number having to do with blood moons and Zionism. Of course, it is Zionists who run the music industry. Also, True Seeker, one more thing about June 26th. It's the 177th day of the year, with 188 remaining. Remember the train crash on May 12th was at 9:23 p.m.? The media said it was train number 188, which left 170, or excuse me, that's not what I meant to say. It was train 188. There was also the movie Unbreakable, where in that movie it's train number 177. And that movie ran 106 minutes. They said the train in Philadelphia was going 106 miles per hour. The word prophecy equals 106. All this stuff is coded and synced up. 52 years ago in 63 Truth Seeker, there was a Pennsylvania train crash. There was a black church bombing on a date with 106 numerology, just like how 106 was coded over the current church shooting. I have several videos on that. Also in that year, there was a presidential assassination. John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and he gave a very weird speech on June 26th of that year, the same day Obama sang Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace has the gematria of 105, like blood moon, like Zionism. JFK gave a weird speech in Berlin. Obama sang a song at a hoax funeral in Charleston. So much being foreshadowed. This was 52 years ago, these three events. We're about to have a repeat of it this year, 52 years later. This headline was from the day of the church shooting before it happened. Our home is being ruined. CNN cover. Gematria of 114 in the time of the 114th Congress. Once upon a time, JFK was shot from 411 Elm Street. The word assassin equals 411. World War equals 114. Holocaust equals 114. Pearl Harbor equals 114. Just being redundant here, just showing you the 266th Pope, 266th day of the year. If you write out September 23, kind of cheating, it sums to 266. If you write out September 23rd, it sums to 269. There's a Jimi Hendrix song, If 6 Was 9. Oh, so close. You remember this story from March 22nd of this year, 322 Yale Skull and Bones? A person ran up and delivered a pizza to the Pope. I got it right away, Truth Seeker. In the story, they said it was Don Ernesto Pizza. Don Ernesto Pizza. Pizzeria Don Ernesto. Don and Ernesto are names with 33 gematria. So is pizza. I thought at the time this story was coded something, foreshadowing something for the future. Perhaps it was signaling what was to come 6 months or so later in September. Just a week before that, the Pope made the comment about how he expects his papacy to be no more than 5 years. Maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe less. He said this to a Mexican audience. More coded 33, Mexican and Mexico, both words with 33 gematria. The Mexican-American War ended on the 33rd day of the year, February 2nd, once upon a time. Got a video on that. Also, at the beginning of the year, Truth Seeker, there was these headlines about the Pope baptizing 33 babies in the Sistine Chapel. Sistine Chapel has gematria of 59 and 77. Judaism, 77. The kill number, 59. Who knows what's to happen with these 33 babies? And them doing it on the date of 111 is very curious, because 111 is a very satanic number, has a direct connection to 666 in gematria. The Satanists also love the number 33. I bet a lot of you, if you look up your local Satanist phone number for your state, a lot of states have one Satanist phone number, one Satanist church. In Washington, it's located in Olympia, the nation's capital, and the phone number begins with 333. And I've looked this up in other states, same thing. Try and search for yours. See just how connected all this is between the Catholic Church, the Zionist Jews, and Satanism. The word priest equals 33, Truth Seeker. Priest, 33. Think about all the priest child molester headlines over the years. I don't even know if they're true or they're all part of the psychological operations. But I know when men are celibate, they're probably more likely to have weird sexual problems come up. I don't think there's anything organic about celibacy. Boehner says Pope Francis will come on September 24th, the 7-year anniversary of George W. Bush's speech to the nation about how the nation will collapse economically if we don't bail them out. If the poor people don't bail out the billionaires, the nation will collapse. And in a way, it's a sick joke, right? Because that's what the nation's always been. A bunch of people getting exploited for the very rich. Look at the Catholic Church's giant mansion. What would Jesus do? They don't wear those bracelets around the Catholic Church. He sure as hell wouldn't build a palace. John Boehner has name gematria of 114, just like the time of the 114th Congress. And just to go back in time to show you how this 33 thing's been around, once upon a time, Jackie Kennedy met on March 11th, 62, a little more than a year before her husband got his head blown off, with the Pope for 33 minutes. And they met on 3/11, March 11th. 3/11. Important prime number. 33-minute meeting. The name Kennedy's from 33. They're from Massachusetts, one of 333 states. The word secrecy is 33. So much 33 in the Kennedy family. Everybody who's died in that family's died on a date with 33 numerology. And look at the time right now. It's 3:33. I didn't mean to do that. But that pretty much covers it all up, True Seeker. From the 33-day Pope dying on the 44 date and how it all syncs together with he and the current President Obama. You know what, True Seeker? There's one thing I left out. We got to go there. I got to show you this. I want to show you the one last connection between Pope Francis and Obama. Notice that Pope Francis was born December 17th, 1936. 12 plus 17 plus 19 plus 36 equals 84. Obama equals 84 in Jewish gematria, and his birthday is August 4th. Just like United States of America equals 84 Pythagorean. And in the beginning, what did we notice? That somebody named Francis Pope owned the original land that is now the nation's capital, and it was once called Rome. We'll sign off there, True Seeker. Until next time.